All right, thank you for staying with us on Business Today. Now we are getting to our conversation where we're talking about real estate in Kenya. And joining us is Eunice Masharia, who is the chairperson for the Estate Agents Registration Board. And she's here with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
All right. So real estate, when you speak about real estate in Kenya, it's one of the sectors or industries that is really doing well and has been growing over the years. And in terms of growth, where we are as a country, from where you sit, what do you think is the growth path? Are we on the right trajectory towards growth, or what is happening in the industry?
Thank you for that question. The real estate industry, as you know, really supports the economy, being one of the biggest contributors to the economy, and especially in Kenya, and also contributing to employment. The largest, it employs a big number of employees in the sector. When you look at the entire chain, right from quarries all the way to construction, and after construction, management and maintenance. If you look at the entire industry, the construction industry, you look at the trading, the buying and the selling, it contributes a huge amount to the GDP of the economy. But real estate industry, like every other sector, in maybe the 1 year or so, because of the high inflation of cost and the increase in cost and the dollar, skyrocketing. That has had adverse effects on the entire industry. If you look especially at construction, if you're going to do a big construction and import materials, then your costs have increased almost twofold in the last 1 year, and that becomes very difficult to plan especially when things are erratic. When you have this today and a different price tomorrow, even for suppliers of materials, then it becomes very expensive and very unpredictable, I would say, to manage. When you look at the cost of fuel also going up exponentially in the last 1 year, that also has an adverse effect on the construction industry. And I also say that because of that, you also find that because of the increase in doing business, a lot of companies, instead of expanding, are shrinking. And that also affects the rental space. You find a lot of buildings in Upper Hill, Westlands, all these beautiful buildings that you see around. Most of them are not full. The occupancy rates are very low, and it takes a very long time even to fill up space. And that has a coupled effect even on the lending, because most of those developers have borrowed money from the banks to put up their construction. So when you don't then fill up the space, then it becomes a problem, because now you are not collecting the income that you are expecting you had projected to collect, and that has an effect on your ability to pay back the loans to your loan to the bank. And then you also see most of these businesses, because of the high inflation and business effects, they also have a problem in paying rent. So you find even the collection of that rent, even the ones who are in occupation of that space, they're having difficulties in limiting their rent. So I think when you look at all that, then it slows down the growth of the sector in a way. Even persons who want to buy and to sell, all that has effect. The inflation has effect on the ability of our citizen and the kind of cash that they can be able to put aside to be able to purchase property. And the increase in the interest rates from the banks, I think you have seen that in the last in the last 1 year, the lending rate has gone up. So a lot of banks actually are shy now to lend to individuals and to companies, because it makes more sense even to put that money in their money in the money market and deal with the government, because it's a more sure bet than lending to you and me, and they are not sure whether you're going to be able to pay back. So lending has kind of slowed in the last 1 year or so.
Okay, right. Very well explained. And now, when we look at the structures that are coming up.
Yeah.
Structures are coming up, malls are being built, especially within Nairobi. When you go to most of the areas, when you go to different areas that are uptown, you find that there are really very many structures that are coming up.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the way you've explained, you find that over time, they become just structures with very good windows, very good colors, but they are not occupied. At the end of the day, what does this do to the industry? And as you've said, also we are looking at very many people now opting to maybe companies not renting a space, but employees working from home.
Yeah.
So therefore, these buildings now just become waste. At the end of the day, they're just left there. Yeah. So what does this do to this particular industry?
I think if you look at the mall space and what we call the retail space,
yes,
in the sector, we had a craze in the malls development in the last maybe 10 years or so.
Yes.
Where we had a mall coming up in every other area, and mega malls. What the trend we are seeing now is that actually they are reducing the size of those constructions. They have adopted what we call a strip mall. A strip mall is where you have a petrol station and you have a few shops. So that is easier to let and maybe recoup your money, and then you don't even have to put so much into the construction of that. Instead of the mega malls that we saw, like Garden City and others, where you find today you leave a tenant here, tomorrow when you come they're not there. The shop is closed. A few months later someone takes up the space. A few months down the line the space is empty again. The turnover becomes too high in the malls, and you also find like there's a preference to take maybe the ground floor and the first floor. But if you go to the second and the third floors, you find that most of them are vacant. Because if they were targeting like office space, not many people are willing to go now and set up offices. But that turnover in the occupancy, is a very worrying trend, because then it also affects the income or the cash flow for the developer. So the trend now than what we are seeing in the market is smaller developments, what they're calling strip malls, where you have everything in small portions but in the same place. So for a shopper, it's easy for you to just drive in, fuel your car, buy your vegetables, buy your meat, maybe visit the chemist, and maybe a small restaurant within the same establishment. But we see a deviation from mega malls. And if you drive along our major roads now, you see strip malls coming up. And I think that seems to be the trend. Yeah.
Let's look at also land. The price of land, of course, has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Very many people who have land, they usually say, okay, I want to hold it a bit. And then when the prices go up is when now they say, okay, now we are open.
Yeah.
When it comes to how land is treated within Kenya and how very many people view land, first of all, from where you sit as a board, what are some of the challenges when it comes to land and construction?
I think the biggest challenge, especially for us in the country, has been the sanctity of the title. In that you can buy a property and the persons who are dealing with that property at that particular time are not even aware that the document that they're exchanging is not a good document. Because you could be buying a property that was previously government land, or it was an institution land, or like what we saw in Machakos the other day. It's land that belongs to an institution, but people have grabbed it, and with the assistance maybe from log registrars or whatever, they have been able to create title deeds for that land. Or even what is happening in the Kirema land. This is private land that has been taken over by individuals or encroached by individuals. So you find when you're buying land, then how do you determine that what you're holding as a title deed is actually a valid document? And what we normally do is that you take that document, you go to Land's office, you do a search, isn't it? You do an official search, and the search will give you all the nice things that you want to say. This land is, this size is registered in the name of so and so. And you proceed to transact on the basis of that. Then a couple of years down the line, someone comes and claims that land, or you are told this was formerly public land. And how would you as a buyer, how would you have known at the point of buying? Because you are a purchaser in good faith. You bought in good faith. You are an innocent purchaser in good faith. How would you have known that this document was not valid? And you trusted, and in the institutions that we have, the lands office, to be able to do a search, you did a search, your lawyer did a search and confirmed all the details are proper, you went ahead to transact. I think that has been one of the single most challenge in land transactions. When it comes to pricing, actually the land prices have kind of stabilized in the last couple of years. We have not seen an increase in land prices, or what you would call capital gain in land in the last couple of years. Possibly we have found an equilibrium in the land prices, but they haven't gone up. Actually, at some point after COVID, we saw a slowdown, and even in some areas the land prices went down.
Yes.
Or the value of the land went down. Yeah.
So they've stabilized a bit.
I would say more or less. What you paid last year is what you're likely to pay this year, or even 2 years back.
Right. And now, still on the issue of land, when it comes to how Kenyans are acquiring land. For example, I go and say, okay, I have this money, I want to get land. What is the process? Because most of the time, someone goes, they buy land, they found an agent there who sold them the land. They also saw the title deed.
Yeah.
They did everything that is supposed to be done. But at the end of the day, after some years, you find out that, okay, this land was not supposed to be sold. It belongs to someone, like what you've mentioned, the Kirima and also in Machakos. So what usually happens? Because this seems to be a recurrent phenomenon when it comes to land ownership in Kenya.
I'd say when you're buying land, you need to do more than just an official search in terms of due diligence. And the other ways that you can be able to check whether the land is, whether the documents are genuine or not, or whether that land is available for sale in the first place. I'll tell you my own story, because someone interested me sometimes back on some land on Thika Road, and it was a very prime land. But I became suspicious because the land around that region was all empty and vacant. And being such a prime location, my concern was why has nobody come up with a structure in this neighborhood? So I sought to find out what could be the reason. And my first stop was at the DO's office in Kasarani. And when I walked into the DO's office, I walked in with the agent or a broker. And the first thing the DOs, they said, he suspected that this was a couple coming to make some inquiries. So when I told him about the land, he said that land has a lot of court case, had a court case that was ongoing, and they had actually received orders from the court to stop anybody from constructing on that land. You see, if I had not gone to the DO's office, I would not have known that. And most of us are in a hurry to cross land deals. You take the word of the broker, and most of these brokers are not even registered estate agents. They are just persons who are, posing as brokers. They are quacks. Some of them are even outright fraudsters. Posing as land selling agents. And they'll tell you very nice stories about the land. They'll tell you about developments. That particular case, they even gave me a map that was updated, and I had to go back and do my own, buy my own map. So some of the things that you can do to prevent yourself being conned from, land deals, check the land records at the lands office. Make sure you do an official search. If you can't, go behind and look at the history of that land. Who sold that land to the one who is selling to you? What is the original title or the original number to that? And do a search on that original title. At some point, if it was government land or institutional land, it will come up during your process of due diligence. Then the other thing you can do, buy a map from Survey of Kenya and get a surveyor to go to the site and show you the extent of the land. And also, because those records also of the land are also in the Survey of Kenya, they can be able to check for you if that parcel was previously government land or institutional land. That information should be able to come up. Then ask the neighbors. Most of the neighbors know. If your neighbor's land has a problem, you most likely know it has a problem. So if you ask the neighbors, and don't go with the agent, because most likely they have already stage managed that exercise. So go alone and find out. Talk to the chief, talk to the DO, talk to the administrators. They most likely know what is going on around that area. And you can save yourself a lot of tears in the end. However, having said that, a lot of our people will still buy the land anyway. Because it will be, at that point, whoever is selling to them will be selling to them cheaply. So for them, it's a deal. Yeah, even the same way they are chasing some of the land buying companies with their 50 by 100, brought in Maguta here in Kikuyu.
Yes.
And you find out that they're telling you we have land in Nanyuki, near town, and it's 100 kilometers from Nanyuki town. When are you ever going to put up a building on a 50 by 100, 50 kilometers from in the bush?
Yeah, 100 kilometers from the town.
Yeah, 100 kilometers, and there are no facilities, there are no services, there is no water, there is no electricity, and there is encroaching on the agricultural land, and land that will be used for other purposes, even much better than a residential. You know, our drive as Kenyans to own something, some land. So you run around and chase these people, and then you find out what you bought, you can't use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Eunice, thank you so much for that. Now, let's look at another issue, the real estate regulation bill that seeks to regulate real estate agents, developers and properties for sales purposes, and also land trading companies that subdivide land for sale, popularly known as land buying companies. First of all, when you look at this proposed regulation bill, is it going to improve this particular profession, or it's going to step on it? And just give us some of the impacts. If it passes, what will it do to the particular real estate sector?
First of all, it's my prayer that it doesn't go through. And I think this is a defective bill. We have thoroughly analyzed it as a board, and we have also engaged our members to look at it and give us their feedback. And the bill as proposed is defective in so many areas. First of all, it seeks to regulate the business of development. That is the land buying companies and the developers, the people who put up houses and buildings for sale mostly, together with the professionals. You see, that doesn't happen anywhere in the world. You cannot regulate developers and business people together with professionals. Professionals are regulated by professional bodies all over the world. And even here in Kenya, if you look at the professional regulatory board, the valuers board, you look at the architectural board of Kenya, you look at the medical and dentist council or board, you look at the BOLAX, the board of architects and quantity surveyors in Kenya, you look at the surveyors board, you look at the physical planners board, all those boards and many others, they are regulated by persons and by boards who are primarily formed by professionals. You do not have anywhere in the world where you mix the practice or the professional practice and the business people in the same pot. It doesn't work. How will you develop a code of conduct that suits these two? This one is chasing after money, after profits, and the other one is trying to uphold professional ethics and professional standards. How do the two mix? It is going to be very difficult. And then you look at the qualifications. The professional estate agency is someone who has gone to school to study real estate.
Yes.
We have universities. We have University of Nairobi. We have Technical University, we have Jomo Kenyatta. We have Kenyatta University. We have Mount Kenya University that are training a bachelor in real estate, previously known as a bachelor in land economics. These are professionals who go through training, 4 years training to be real estate agents and property valuers. And we are also, as a board, trying to come up with a curriculum so that we can also, advance this to the TVETs, the technical, the TVETs, so that we are also able to also get graduates with diplomas and also with certificates to support the industry. Mm-hmm. So when you mix a professional and the person they are supposed to be serving, because we offer services to these developers. If you are developing your building, we come and offer you services, consultancy services. Once you are done with your construction, we come and help you to manage that building and to realize your rental income and also to maintain the building and make it look good and, make sure that it's well preserved. Mm-hmm. So this person who is the investor now and developer, how do you mix them in the same pot with the professionals? That is one of the biggest flaws with this act, with the proposed bill. The other one is that these land buying companies and developers, especially in Nairobi and other major towns, they have been collecting purchasers' monies, deposits. And then they use those deposits to construct or to put in infrastructure when it comes to, say, a subdivision scheme. And then when they are unable to finish, some of them are unable to finish those developments, they are unable to refund the purchasers' money. So this bill is trying to legalize the collection of the purchasers' deposits, that the investor or the developer can use up to 75% of your deposit towards construction. And then what it provides is that if the developer is unable to finish, that you purchasers can come together and finish that development. How are you going to do it? And your money has already been used. Mm-hmm. You already given your advances, and those advances have been put into the construction, into the steel and into the concrete. And then the bill says if the developer is unable to finish, the purchasers can come together and finish that development. Is that really going to be possible? Because I think the biggest challenge here is in this is in the business plan, where you are relying on people's monies to do your private business. And once you are unable to do it, then they are saying then you guys can take over the half-finished project. Mm-hmm. and finish it. That is not going to be possible. Mm-hmm. Or another government agency can come and finish. Where are they going to get the funds from to do it? I think that's one of the other biggest flaws with this act, in that it is trying to legalize the practice of developers in collecting funds without proper safeguards. Because when I give you my money as a purchaser, that money is supposed to go into an escrow account. Yes. And you're not supposed to access it until you can deliver the product. Mm. And if you're unable now to execute the contract, then I can access my money back. But if that money has already gone into the works, it becomes practically impossible. Mm-hmm. And we have seen so many projects like that, which are half done, and then the investors or the purchasers who put their money in are unable to get their money back.
Yeah, and especially now that you've mentioned, there are very many establishments that they've never been finished. They're just standing. Yeah, they've never been finished. Yeah. There's no finished work. They're just there. Yeah. They've stayed for more than even 5 years. Yes. And it's within Nairobi. Yeah. All right. Now, due to our time, I would like you to just give us your parting shot when it comes to real estate. Where are we going to in terms of improving this particular sector? And now innovations that we can leverage on when it comes to real estate going forward. Okay.
I think one of the ways that we can improve the sector, and having said what I've said about the regulation bill, yes, we still need to improve on our legislation so that we can make it watertight and protect all parties. But how that is done, I think that is the question. Because I think we should be able to bring all the stakeholders together in one room, and all of them, let them sit and come up with a bill or an act that helps to propel the industry forward. There is always room for improvement. When it comes to professionals, then we are talking about the Estate Agents Act, and we are already in the process with the Cabinet Secretary of amending that act. Actually, it's in a very advanced stage. And together with that, we have also proposed what we call categorization of estate agency laws. And that is going to help all these brokers and others who have not been able to fit in the current registration to be able to come in at different categories, so that we provide an entry point. And once you come in, then you're able to grow through the ranks to the highest categorization. Then we have also proposed the curriculum development. And like I've said, this is going to be cascaded all the way to the TVET, so that someone leaving school can also find a career in real estate without going all the way to the degree level. You can attain a certificate in caretaking, you can get a certificate in property brokerage, and you're able to do good business when you have the right certification. We are also looking at other ways we have automated our processes. You know that. You are able now, today you can be able to go to our website and check who is a registered estate agent and who is not a registered estate agent.
Very important.
And I think that is going to help us. We are also in the process of developing a strategic plan, and that will help us to be able to put our strategies together and to be able to advance the sector. But again, there are the real estate sector is very, very wide.
Yes.
And there are so many other players. We have the ministry, and I also want to right now to thank the head of public service, because he has put a lot of emphasis on government agencies, and some of these agencies are in real estate. And because of what he's doing to revitalize all the agencies and help them to optimally perform in their areas, is going to help the sector in very, very many ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Eunice, thank you so much. We need to stop it right there. That is Eunice Macharia, who is the chairperson for Estate Agents Registration Board, speaking to us about real estate and what the sector looks like. Also giving us very good advice when it comes to how you can purchase land. And I believe you followed all the processes that she has mentioned. All right, we've come to the end of business today. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. Be Your KTN is coming up next. Don't go too far.